Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm one of the many members of this body that have dealt with this bill in two committees, and trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out DHHR is pretty complicated. And I spoke yesterday about the minister who was so happy about taking care of foster children that he wished he had more bedroom space. And he was, but today I want to do two things. I want to give a shout out to the DHHR employees who are social workers and have other positions, who are there for very little pay because they care about children and adults. I think they have been a little bit overlooked in this debate. I think that we are going for a solution that may be the easy solution, and we have a major crisis that we've been hit with, and we are acting like it's the fault of those employees, and it is not their fault. It is the fault of drug companies who have invaded our state and sold people pills as if it were an instant solution to all of our problems. But the DHHR, there's a mixture. There's a mixture of people that are bad eggs and that are good eggs in every profession. We know that's true here. We know that's true of teachers. We know that's true of university professors. We know that's true of industry. But most of the people who work there are devoted to their job, and they have giant caseloads. I spoke to a DHHR former supervisor that I've known since our kids were in kindergarten. She said one of the people that she supervised had 125 cases. And this woman was supposed to go out and check on kids once a month. And I know that people get frustrated. They maybe show up at the DHHR office and nobody can see them. And that's because these employees are doing their job. They're going out and making sure, and I'm sure it's kind of a pain if you're a foster parent, but we want to make sure that everyone is checked on once a month on a reasonable time period. So a lot of times they can't return the phone calls, but because they have all these competing responsibilities and they're doing it for very little pay. I went to visit Try Again Homes, which is one of the child care providers. They now are in a company that's called Blueprint. And I really remember a gentleman who used to be a DHHR worker, and then he switched over to this child care association, and he said, Barbara, he said, I think one of the things that DHHR workers could use is PTSD coverage. He said, I can remember going to a home and looking at a crib where there were maggots in the baby's crib. And he said, I can't forget that. I'm having difficulty. And I had to get out of that job, the job that I loved, the job that I cared about, the job that didn't pay very well, in part because of that. So I'm a little bothered that we are not undervaluing these people that are so devoted to our state and to our children. And all the people that I've had one email in favor of this bill. I have had many emails opposed to the bill. And one theme runs through that they don't understand why we would be giving away something that the state has been doing since the 30s to a profit-making company. I think their bottom line is we shouldn't be making profits off of our most vulnerable children. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, as much as I know that everyone who is in favor of this bill cares also and wants a good solution for our children, I just am not ready to make that jump into the deep end and the reason they say that is because they say, people that work at DHHR, they don't have to keep track of their billable hours. They're not going to cut corners. They're going to do the best they can with their heavy workload and their low salaries, but they are not, their bosses are not motivated by profit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I urge a no vote.
Gentleman from the 6th, Doug